Hey guys, and welcome back to the Igloo today. Today we're going to be talking about farming for DeathClaws at different locations and different methodologies for it. So let's get right into it. So first is the DeathClaws that are going to be at DeathClaw Island. This is actually going to be right next to the actual setup of Tyler Country Dirt Track. And if you claim that instead of your camp, you're going to be able to farm that within a certain region, as well as getting resources right next to the DeathClaw camp if you don't want to put your personal camp down. So where this location is that you go from the vault, you go straight west to where the Mothman City is, and then you go straight north. And in the river should be a little island called DeathClaw Island. And at that area, 2 DeathClaws spawn at that specific location where it actually has a lot of things that could be done for you, especially if you set up your personal camp that way. You can solo farm at a low level for black titanium and gears. Black titanium and gears are 2 very more important ingredients for power armor, especially if you want to have the Raider level, I would say level 1 armor, be like level 15 so that you can get it. Then there's even more armor that's at level 25, the excavator armor, which you will see from one of my previous kind of setups. And then the third thing is then you'll have more better armor like Enclave armor. Then you'll be able to see the Exo 1 suit armor, which you're going to be required to have later on. So when you have all these processes for solo farming, this is probably one of the easier methods to farm for black titanium and also for gears. Also, gears are very important for turrets. Very important for turrets. So you're going to need to have these kind of setups in order to produce that kind of situation. So, going even further, which is going to be the next easier farming method when it comes to farming for any kind of black titanium or gears, is actually the Enclave starting cave before you go to the Enclave bunker. So the Enclave starting cave is where you start in order to do everything that you need for the Enclave and become part of the Enclave's kind of coalition within West Virginia. This is actually one of the higher density areas for actually any kind of DeathClaw. But I know that these guys aren't like max level 50 DeathClaws, so it's actually like killable. Like I've seen some things that are like level 20, level 25 from videos, and you're able to just blaze through this area because, I mean, they're not level 50 DeathClaws. So you're able to actually kill them at a pretty decent pace. And in my personal method for how I would kill like higher level mobs that are not your level, again, not your level, that means that they are higher level than you to a fair amount of degree, is that you're going to need to have grenades in order to do it. Now, this game has a very generous amount of grenades that are in this world, and you're able to actually use that or an explosive weapon. So if you have one of those two and you guys have Explosives Expert, or you have a mixture of other perks that give you higher damage when it comes to explosive ammo, and or i.e. grenades, you're going to want to have that when you're going to be killing these DeathClaws, because, I mean, farming this method will be a little costly if you don't have the grenades, but again, there's other ways to kill the DeathClaws besides just using grenades. I mean, you could just shoot it a lot, but, I mean, you're thinking of, like, you need to be time managing your process. You don't have all day killing these things, and you don't want to spend all day farming for black titanium and gears so that you can make your goddamn armor that you want, especially so that you don't have to deal with that. So my next iteration to this is when you're going to the next step. Like, let's say you're higher level, you've been grinding either the Enclave or the Brotherhood of Steel missions so that you can get higher level armors, and you're completing these quests from the Enclave and the Brotherhood so that you can get everything else done. What's next? What do you need to do? Well, there's also other areas. You can go to the very southeast of the world and deal with the higher level mobs that way. Or there's also another area where if you want to have higher level, like, bosses that you could fight, you can go to the Wendigo Cave. The Wendigo Cave is pretty much like dead set in between some areas, and it's in the desert plain. But if you go to the Wendigo Cave, I mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to fight you, and you're going to get screwed over. There's not only that, but there's also 3 DeathClaw spawns, as well as due south, there's super mutants, and due north. There's just so much. So you not only have to deal with a flying Wendigo, but then you're going to have to deal with 3 DeathClaw spawns that are right there. Probably a very high tier area, but it can vary, especially towards like purging thralls, especially with traveling packs of these kind of things. As you can see an example, somebody got definitely screwed by a bunch of these Goliaths that are all over the place, and they just fuck up this low-level guy in a low-level area, which I'm very surprised that this actually happened between like Sunshine Meadows and like the Vault-Tec Architectural Research Center, because there's a high-level trader that has unlimited caps that are over there. So if you're wanting to just farm for high materials and then trade, that's where I would suggest. And especially if you are going to be trading there frequently and fast traveling there frequently, because again, we're going to be very conscious about time management, and this is another thing where it ties out to, is time management within a game instance. So what I would do is that I would claim this Sunshine Meadows Industrial Farm, and I would put up appropriate turns. Now, setup for all of this would take a little bit of a while, especially if you're doing this solo. But if you have friends, you can do it all together. Now, the all together method, it's a better method, and you can make things like really go at a fast pace, especially if you're dealing with this. But solo, this is my suggestion if you are going to be farming for Black Titanium and you are not level 50 and you want to have a life. 1. You set up a Sunshine Meadows Industrial Farm, and you farm for food and water there, and you put a fuck ton of turrets there. 2. Once you have that, then you set up the Tyler Country Dirt Track so that you can farm DeathClaw Island. Then, you will then set up your camp at the Enclave entry point entrance so that you can do that kind of farm method that way. It will take you longer because you are solo, yes. But this can be changed if you are done cooperatively. Cooperative gameplay with this is actually more efficient at times when it comes to farming for Black Titanium. And then finally, if you really are unsure about the amounts of DeathClaws that are going to be within your area, there's also one other area, which is all the way south, which is the Federal Disposal Field 8Z21, which is all the way south in the Fallout 76 map. Now, if you have that, and then you climb up to, or around to, the area of the RNG Processing Services area, and then you go and you deal with going down the train track, going towards the Granian Estate, or I don't know how to pronunciate that, going towards Horn White's estate, which is right next to the other estate that I mentioned. There's actually some DeathClaw spawns that spawn within that route. So if you want to do a full rotation in all of the map when it comes to farming for Black Titanium or Gears, that's what I would suggest if you are solo, because again, DeathClaws spawn Gears. They're pretty convenient for that. So I only suggest that as a duodence when it comes to rotation, whether it's solo or co-op. Now, if you're cooperative, here's the thing when it comes to planning for this. You can do that same method that I just talked about with going to DeathClaw Island, Enclave, train tracks, and then that other area so that you can have that infinite trading. But then there's also that added method, and here's the added method on top of it, which I will mention, is that once you complete that loop with cooperative play, you don't need to stop what you're doing. Maybe you're trying to farm for nuclear codes, and you have one person in the group that is like playing rotation base, and they are doing a farm with your friend group. You can be in a friend group, and then you can do your own thing. You don't need to be all together. And then when you're done your rotation, you can go back to helping your friends farm for like a nuclear launch code. And you can go to like any of the nuclear sites based on either whatever faction that you're part of. And it's going to be very easy, especially if you are in cooperative, to not only get the nuke, but then to get everything else. But we don't know all the nuke locations on what they do spawn. So, my suggestion is, let's say you nuke like the Enclave entrance. Are you going to get a bunch of DeathClaws? What if you nuke where like the Wendigo cave is? Do you have more DeathClaws that spawn over there? Like, what? It's going to depend where you nuke, because like there's going to be areas that are going to be more beneficial for you to nuke than not, because again, you're farming for resources at the end of the day. So like, how and what way do we need to nuke? We don't know yet. We don't have those answers to where should we nuke so that we can kill these level 50 DeathClaws, so we can get higher level loot trees, and then we can have higher level weapons so that we can repair. Like, that's going to be like pretty prominent, especially during late game status. And I am going to look forward to it, because I mean, it's going to be hard, because the person that did do the launch code and get everything else done, it did take him a while to get all of the things set up for it, and then to fire the launch code. So it's only going to be very interesting to see where the best DeathClaws are after you launch a nuke. So if you guys like this kind of stuff and you like these kind of tutorials, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below of where you found your best DeathClaw location. Especially if there is more to this list, definitely post them down below, and we can make a more comprehensive list instead of like a solo co-op, like farming of just these few locations and having a setup of 30 to 45 minutes because of getting all these camps captured and secured for yourself. Have a good one, guys.